Fake news has been dominating the news cycle recently, and people are struggling to tell the difference between a real headline and a fake headline. We go to District Wire News' Alicia Abelson in the studio with more information. Alicia?
Fake news articles have been gaining public attention since the start of the 2016 presidential election. We took to the campus of American University to see if students could differentiate between a headline that is real and a headline that is fake. Take a look. False. Sean Spicer given own press secretary to answer media's questions.
False.
True.
Liar. True.
False.
Florida man who had sex with dolphins said it seduced him.
True.
False.
That's true.
False.
I'm here with a panel of media experts and professors at the School of Communications. We have here Lynn Perry, Amy Eisman, and Christine Lawrence to discuss the impact of fake news. So we've really seen this topic pop up recently. Is this something new, would you say, Lynn?
I think it's been a problem for a long time. It's just that social media and the fact that everyone can be a publisher enables a lot of people to jump in now sooner without many checks and balances. But no, you can go back in the history books and find examples in the 1800s of people faking their way through news reports, whether it was plagiarism or fantasy and fiction. It's always been there, but more prevalent now.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, I do think fake news has been around for a long time. A little bit has to do with what the definition of fake news is. There's news that's made up, there's news that's a lie, there's news that's just plain inaccurate, there's news that's propaganda. So all of that has been around, but what we're probably seeing a little bit more of now is news that's entirely made up, and as Professor Perry said, moving on social media.
Christine, do you think there's a particular reason why this is popping up so frequently?
Well, I do think it has a lot to do with social media, because actually, if you talk to people, people are more likely to believe what they receive from their friends or family than they do by going to an objective news site. So if somebody posts something on Facebook, an article, they'll say, oh, well, that must be real because my friend posted it or something. And then it just gets, more and more picked up. So in fact, people who push fake news are aware of this, and they push certain stories because they know that they're going to be repeated over and over, and then people begin to believe them. So it's an issue, and because news travels so fast today as well through social media.
What's interesting about that, too, is that so much of this is being pushed out by algorithms. Sometimes there's not even humans involved at all. Sometimes there's certain words in some headlines, and new social media accounts, particularly on Twitter, can be started in a moment and then pushed out, and then it can disappear.
Well, Lynn, do you think that this has a particular impact on the way we're reporting today?
I think it might have an impact on the way we're reporting, in that we're having to triple check everything even more than we usually do. And you've probably seen a whole new group of teams devoted to fact checking. And some people wonder, well, don't people fact check their stories when they're writing them anyway? Yes, but these teams are going in and doing a deeper dive a lot of times and coming back and looking at issues that might have been in the news and not as prevalent before, and really examining documents and re-talking to people and finding out if what's been reported is accurate. So not everybody can afford that, but PolitiFact, it's a standalone organization started by the Tampa Bay Times years ago, and the Washington Post, the New York Times, they all have teams of people now working on fact-checking.
Amy, do you think this is dominating the news cycle too much?
Well, we're talking about it right now. Do I think it's dominating the news cycle? I think it's kind of this year's hot topic. And I wouldn't say dominating because there's a lot of news actually dominating the news cycle. What people are talking about in terms of fake news is really how to figure out what is true or not. We do have people really in both political parties that are not always telling the truth. And there's probably more than when Chris worked on Capitol Hill and news coverage there. There were more people probably putting out, I would say, falsehoods. Would you say that than in the past?
Yes, I mean, part of it is because, we don't really have gatekeepers now to check things because people are just pushing it out themselves. I think the thing that worries me the most about it is today politicians, when they have a story that they don't like, that reflects negatively on them, then they say, oh, it's fake news because I don't like how I am reported on. And that, I think, can be very confusing to the public, that they themselves now, consumers have to do their own fact checking. You have to go and find the original source and determine whether it's valid or not. And I think for many people, they don't want to do that. It takes time. But if we're going to be good citizens, this is something we have to do now. We have to, fact check what we want, what's been sent to us to be sure that it's accurate. So,
Christine, do you have any suggestions as to how, the average person could take a deeper look into what's real and what's fake and how to combat this a little bit?
Yes, I would say be sure you go to whatever the original source is. I mean, there are certain things you can look at in stories and just say, well, are they presenting both sides? Who are they quoting? Are they speculating on something? Are they offering a conspiracy theory? There are many, many red flags in stories that I think people don't take the time because, they're looking at the news quickly or something to actually go and say, where did this come from? What's the original source? And, we all have to be fact checkers now.
Do you have anything to add, Amy, to that?
Yes, there are two statements that the three of us say all the time. One is, if your mother says she loves you, check it out, which is something that we're constantly telling our students because you can't really believe everything that you know. And the other sentence I'm pretty sure that we're always saying all the time is, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. There are a lot of headlines that are used as clickbait, and you've tested them as well on some of the students on campus. And a lot of times, there's no subtlety, there's no, they're put into a black and white perspective and it's one thing or the other, and that's not really the true story at all. So I think what we would like to probably say, if I can speak for my colleagues, is that don't take what's on the screen as fact. Go deeper, find out who it's from, find out where the URL is from, find out where the source is from, find out if the words are right, click into the links, look at the links, look on the about page of the links, and find out if you can ultimately get to the original source.
Lynn Perry, Amy Eisman, Christine Lawrence, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ben & Jerry's is partnering up with American University to provide awareness to racial injustice by offering free ice cream. We've got more on the story after the break.